Greetings, Space Marines. This is the GameWisp Episode 3 weekly podcast. Episode 3. And in this weekly podcast, we play a game. This week it is Halo, because the topic of this podcast is vaguely Halo?
Halo's a big part of it.
Yes, says
right.
Michael Anderson.
That's right. Hey, I'm Michael.
Right. Yeah, and I'm Eli. And we skipped introductions this week. If you want good introductions, go back to week 2.
Yeah, or even episode 1.
Episode 1, the fabled episode.
That's right.
So what we do in this podcast, we play a game, we talk about what's going on at GameWisp, what's going on in gaming and gaming video, and we try to pick a game that caters to the theme of the week. And the theme of this week is loosely Halo.
Very loosely, but it's a Halo-y kind of week.
It's a Halo-y kind of week. We'll reminisce about Halo. We'll talk about new things with Halo. And we will also bash on Assassin's Creed Unity.
That's right.
Those are the things we're doing today.
And I think we're going to close out with a little bit about Rooster Teeth. And
a little bit about Rooster Teeth.
Rooster Teeth built themselves on top of Halo, too.
On top of it, which is really fitting.
That's right.
You know, I didn't make
week.
that connection, but that's even more fitting.
But I did.
So here's what we're going to do. Michael's going to play. If you're looking for a good Halo playthrough, you probably want to find somebody playing the Master Chief Collection, which this is not. And you probably want to find somebody
PC from
talking about things relevant to Halo, which we won't be doing.
Right.
At least this game, the game Halo. Halo the franchise, yes. So yeah, Michael's here at Square One.
Keys.
He's running and shooting. I don't know any of these characters, by the way.
That's right. Well, I have already played through the segment where we intro the game and you come out of the hushed casket or whatever. I've got Cortana. This is Captain Keys. Hey, Captain Keys. Anyway, the Covenant's coming, and I have no guns.
Yeah,
but I bet you I'm going to get one soon.
So let's reminisce about Halo. Can we start with that?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Halo
reminisce about that just popped up on your screen.
Oh, that pistol.
That pistol.
If I could sum up Halo in a small bit of words, it would be 2002 to 2004 of my life.
Right.
That would say, man, I played so much Halo in the end of high school and the beginning of college that it's really a wonder I ever passed anything.
So true.
So, as some people may know, I've taken a lot of math classes. Right?
This is too many frames per second.
It is. What's happening?
Anyway, go on.
You getting jumpy at 60?
Yeah.
Is it just too much action?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna drop her down to 30.
Are you gonna drop her down?
Yeah, I think so. Can we can keep talking now?
Yeah, we can. We can keep talking. So yeah, as a result of majoring in physics in undergrad, I took a lot of math classes.
Keep going.
And my worst grade in a math class, right, from algebra all the way up to Calculus 4. Mm-hmm. Guess my lowest grade. Not what it was. Guess the course where I got my lowest grade.
Oh. Cal 2.
Algebra.
Because
because I took it in 2004 when I was playing Halo 1.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it was so bad. And there wasn't even really a multiplayer scene that I can recall at the time. This was on Xbox, right?
Yeah.
And so
multiplayer was going to your friend's house.
Yeah, right. And we really wanted some multiplayer action in the dorms, and so we just tunneled. I don't even know if you can do that anymore.
No, you got to go through Xbox Live.
Yeah, but I
guess you could theoretically do that.
We had a switch set up in our room, so we had one network out, right?
Yeah.
So or two, like one for each computer you're supposed to have in the room or whatever, because you share a room with another guy, dorm, etc. And so we took our Xbox, all our computers, everything. We ran them into a switch, and then we ran that switch into the wall.
Yeah.
And then we ran an application on the PC that basically allowed you to tunnel all your traffic from your Xbox into some weird dark internet.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and so we would be tunneling all our traffic for Halo into this basically bootstrapped Xbox Live. and
awesome.
Oh my God, we played all the time, constantly. And it got so bad that residential advisors would knock on our door and be like, "Hey, what are you guys doing in here? We're getting some calls from IT. There's a lot of traffic happening, and we don't know what's going on."
Oh man,
I don't know. I'm just whatever.
Yeah.
And well, don't be downloading anything on Napster. This is 2004. And don't do that because that's illegal. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. And
playing that Halo.
And finally, they came back one day and were like, "Look, we're seeing 6 IP addresses coming out of your 2 switches in your dorm room, and we don't know what's going on. I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know anything. I don't know what's up. And finally, they couldn't really stop us, and so they just shamed us. So what they did is they being the residential advisors, put up a huge banner in the central hallway that said, if you're using a switch to access the internet, please stop room 204.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was like
room 204.
It was like, wow,
that's so specific
awful. We have been shamed.
That's really funny.
Yeah, it was a good time, and that was kind of my first real memory of Halo. So I have a very fond attachment to Halo 1.
Yeah, totally. That's good. The first time I ever really played Halo 1, I'll share this, was at a buddy's house. It was like birthday. We did a LAN party. We were up all night.
Did you network together your Xboxes?
Yeah, totally. We had 4 Xboxes, 4 CRT TVs, and
who lugged the TVs over?
I lugged one of mine.
Did you ask your parents to borrow it?
Yeah, totally.
And they looked at you like you were crazy, like, yeah, taking our TV? Those were the days.
It was great. And you're like, why would you take your TV to somebody's house? I don't know.
Don't they have a TV? Like, yes, they have a TV. They need
we need 4
TVs, Mom.
This frames per second. No, and anyway, we played multiplayer for a long time. Lots of Blood Gulch, lots of Hang 'em High with snipers and pistol. That was one of Aaron's favorites. Was Hang 'em High. But anyway, we had Hang 'em High, Capture the Flag. Don't ever play Aaron Hang 'em High, Capture the Flag.
Aaron P. Middleton?
Yes, for sure. Don't do it because he's very, very good at that, and you will leave incredibly frustrated. This frames per second, man. I'm looking like a fool right now. I'm just gonna blame it on that over and over again. Anyway, so after we had played multiplayer and had a good time and all that kind of stuff, me and another dude from high school, we decided we're gonna co-op through Halo 1 and get it done in a night. And
that doesn't seem so bad.
Yeah,
I mean, what's the runtime, like 3 hours, 4 hours?
I don't know. We stayed up. It was probably like 6 hours. We stayed up straight. It was on easy or whatever, but it was definitely like. Anyway, the moral of the story was, I had never played through it before, so that was like, it was like the first time I'd ever played, and we got to the last level, which you haven't played Halo 1. The last level is awesome, where you're just like. I
don't remember.
You're driving the Warthog out of the maw, and like you're just like racing through to the end of the whole map, and you gotta like jump out the end, and the ship explodes, and you like
in true like action movie fashion.
Yeah, it's fantastic ending. Anyway, could not beat that level, and then my friend's parents kicked us out.
Were you on hard or something?
We were on easy. I just like sucked at it, so that's what it was. But
for shame.
Anyway, good times with good friends, with Halo, and then college, plenty of Halo 2, which brings us really to the Master Chief Collection.
Yeah, I think there was a collective squee on the internet when this was announced.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so the question is this a cash grab on the part of Bungie, cashing in on that nostalgia, or is it actually worth paying for? Michael Anderson, what is your response?
So, as someone who does not yet have an Xbox One, I would just pay for this game to put it on my shelf.
Never play it.
Right.
Still in the cellophane.
That's right. No, it's really exciting. I think that one of the most awesome things and what really got us like tied to Halo in the dorms was Halo 2's multiplayer. You can say what you want about Halo 2's campaign, and kind of like if you read online, you can find out lots of facts about how even Bungie was unhappy with the progress they had made, and they just kind of put it out, and it really actually, the development of that actually changed a lot about how they went about relating with publishers, and about how they went about their development process on Halo 3.
Would you say Halo 2's multiplayer is what kind of made Halo like a multiplayer sort of franchise?
Yeah, absolutely. And it changed the way that multiplayer was done forever. God, I died.
Did you just die?
Talking. Yeah. I don't know what, I must be on super hard. Anyway.
Right.
Yeah. But really, it did change the way that multiplayer happened on consoles. It was the first big Xbox Live game. They came up with matchmaking. No one else was doing that at the time. now everybody matchmakes. It's like standard. They came up with the party system. Like that came up and like the way Xbox Live handles parties came out with Halo 2, and it was only in Halo. It was very like revolutionary. And it was the first, it was all Xbox Live, so it wasn't, you didn't have to do the darknet,
the dark
switching.
Tunneling, yeah.
You could just jump online and play instantly, and so it really was revolutionary. And one of the interesting parts is that it had a, I think just the Halo 2 mechanics for the multiplayer are revered as an amazing, just still amazing, and that's why Halo 2 Anniversary is pretty awesome.
I hated it. I hated Halo 2. Maybe
Why?
we've mentioned this on previous episodes. It wasn't the same.
Yeah.
Like, I played so much Halo in, my freshman and sophomore year of college. I was playing tournaments. I was beating people in tournaments, which was crazy.
I keep dying.
I was doing playing pretty well at Halo, and mainly because of that thing you're holding right now, man, that pistol.
Right.
Like the zoomed pistol, I had such a deep attachment to it, and then in Halo 2 it was gone.
Yeah.
And they had this was that when they had the weird 3-round burst thing? It was
the battle rifle?
I don't remember. I just remember thinking, this is stupid. And it just didn't do it for me. Like I couldn't get into it. I tried and tried and tried. I played some multiplayer, just kept getting owned. Refused to adapt like the salty old curmudgeon that I am. and just put it away. I just put it away and didn't buy Halo 3.
Never Halo'd again.
Not 4, not
Is that when you made the switch to PlayStation as your home console?
No, that was much later. That was for Metal Gear Solid 4
Fair
when
enough.
I made the switch to PlayStation. And I owned an Xbox 360, like it's kind of, I don't know, it just went away. Like I ended up picking up the orange box, later on, and that became my first-person shooter game of choice.
TF2.
Yeah, a little Team Fortress 2. But Halo will kind of always hold a place in my heart, right?
Yeah, totally.
Now that's my heart where I revere Halo. Like, what's been the response to the Master Chief Collection on the interwebs? Have you looked around?
It's been I think it's been very positive. Like, definitely the reviews are great. I think there's been some issues with matchmaking. That's been kind of an interesting thing over the last couple of days.
So the game that invented matchmaking broke matchmaking?
Yeah. Well, it's, I think everybody jumped on at the same time, So that's really interesting. So I think they're patching that. That's like one of those things where let's throw some more Microsoft Cloud at it, and it'll be fine.
More instances.
More instances.
More.
I think that's the kind of thing you're going to see is that they'll fix that really quickly. But the gameplay-wise, everybo's been really happy with it. I think some of the criticisms have been, the design, the world design for the Halo 2 Anniversary, kind of suffers because of just Halo 2.
It's just outdated.
Yeah. And
so they didn't revisit those, like the meshes and stuff?
They did revisit it. It's just like a little bit more bland than you would anticipate from like a game that got touched up a lot. So, one of the big criticisms of the campaign for Halo 2 was that it just like stopped at the end. You're just like, let's take back Earth, and then it's over with. And you thought you were going to get to Earth and do some stuff.
I vaguely remember that. So I guess I did beat Halo 2.
Yeah, and then they just ran out of time in development and had to push out the door. So I think that's kind of interesting. But other than that, I think it's gotten a really great reception. One of the cool things you can do is like you can play through like playlists of Halo missions, and this is one of the things I'm looking forward to. And basically, it's like play through missions with tanks, or play through missions with vehicles.
Oh, you can like filter them?
Yeah, so then it's like Halo 1 tank mission, then Halo 2 tank mission, and so you can just like play through all these big set pieces if you want without having to leave the menu. It's not like you go in and out of games. I think that's kind of really interesting. It's like you just like it just jumps straight into another game.
So I want all the tanks from all the Halos.
Yeah, totally, and you can do that, which is pretty neat.
Seems like a good degree of fan service.
Yeah, I think so too. And something I'll touch on really quick is that they just announced some features about Halo 5 multiplayer, Halo 5 Guardians multiplayer, and you got to play through a little bit if you're at I think it's Halo Fest.
There's a Halo Fest?
Yeah, Monday night.
I don't even. What is that? It's a conference?
Yeah, it's like a conference, gathering, party.
Didn't even know that existed.
And basically, people got to play through the new multiplayer, a couple matches with it, and they said it felt a lot like Halo 2. That it was like an even playing field, whereas wherein
life pods
like
are launching. We should hurry.
life pods. There they go. In Halo 3 and 4, they introduced all these different packs and different like armor abilities and things. And so in Halo 2, at least the vanilla multiplayer, they're like putting it back where everybody has the same abilities. And so I thought that was really interesting that they're bringing back.
Warning, blast doors closing.
They're bringing back Halo 2's
a level playing field, like
yeah. So they're kind of like bringing back Halo 2 and Halo Anniversary, or Halo 2 Anniversary, and then bringing back sort of Halo 2-esque multiplayer in Halo 5. So it's interesting that they're going back to that.
So in Halo 3, etc., there was a big like unlockable kind of thing going on. Like you played more and you got better armor.
No, it was all just like
you
you could pick your loadout. So it was like. You could pick jetpack, or you could pick, I don't know, some other armor ability.
A little bit of pregame strategy, in other words.
Yeah, totally. Or and it's sort of like TF2, right? You're like able to pick your class, right?
Yeah,
and so it's similar to that. Not really class-based, but kind of. So now it's just going to be all the same. And also too in Halo 3, I think it was Halo 3, they enabled you to play as Covenant in multiplayer. And so they, that wasn't in Halo 4, or Reach, but I don't know. Anyway, so it's just interesting. Have you seen any Let's Plays of Halo 2 Anniversary that you thought were cool?
Before we do this podcast, I look over the sort of talking points and show notes, and any game we talk about, I try to find a relevant playthrough. And so there's a lot of Halo Master Chief Collection Let's Plays going on right now, and there's
people
a ton
trying to capitalize.
Yeah, well, that's how it is with Let's Plays, right? Like you gotta be on the ball for that brand new game. Like fingers at the ready, mic in your face, like ready to record something as soon as the game releases. And so all that content comes out, and really I was browsing the Halo Master Chief content, and there was a pretty promising Let's Play from Jarek the Gaming Dragon, who's doing Halo 2 Anniversary. So I would recommend that. I mean, good commentary, good playthrough speed. He generally covers his bases and knows what he's doing. So I mean, if I had to give a recommendation for a Halo 2 Anniversary Let's Play, it would be that one.
Nice.
In which case, we will link to Jarek the Gaming Dragon in the show notes.
Oh yeah.
I should also mention. I always try to find slightly more obscure Let's Players when I look for this kind of thing. So, there may be some massive Let's Player out there who's doing an awesome Halo Master Chief Collection Let's Play, and I just totally glossed over it because, whatever. So, yeah, I mean, so check it out. Jared's Gaming Dragon. There will be a link in the description or show notes or whatever happens here.
That's right. And, if you got some that you really like, let us know.
Yeah, we'll go watch them, or I'll watch them, or have them as background noise while I'm working on GameWisp.
Right on.
That's what we do. Other big gaming news and relevant gaming news, I think, to the Let's Play world. Assassin's Creed Unity.
Unity. Are we unified on how bad it is?
I think we'll call it Assassin's Creed : Disappointment instead of Assassin's Creed : Unity.
Yeah.
Ubisoft. I'm just gonna lie. Look, how do you talk about a company without actively hating on them? I don't want to hate on Ubisoft. I'm sure people worked hard. A lot goes into game development. As a software developer, I know that. There's a lot of work.
Jeez.
But still, Assassin's Creed Unity just broken.
Yeah.
Just broken and glitched. And there are some really funny glitch videos. Polygon had some good ones. I mean, glitches like my favorite one, for example, is you're in a building and there's a fireplace there and a homeless person's just living in it. He's just stuck in that fireplace. It's like, what are you doing there, homeless guy? Or falling from a rooftop and getting stuck on a banner in an infinite run animation and a banner that's run across the street.
Funny.
Or it's pretty heinously broken, and it just needs some time. Which seems odd to me, since this is the 11th billionth Assassin's Creed to come out. It seems like that formula would have been perfected by now.
Right.
And the sort of global consensus, at least from reviewers, is that Assassin's Creed Unity, not really worth playing.
It's sad.
You
really
can,
sad.
I mean, hey, play it, draw your own conclusions, watch some Let's Plays and draw your own conclusions. But the consensus from reviewers/experts, not the greatest.
Yeah.
So
you know what? And it's interesting that this is what happened. But whenever I was at PAX Prime, Ubisoft had a booth where you could go in and watch like a special playthrough of Assassin's Creed.
Of Unity?
Unity and Rogue.
Did you go watch it?
And I went and watched it.
Shot my gun.
That's brilliant. So I've never, I've never heard of Rogue until this day, and that's just me not being informed. But so why is the Rogue? Why is the Unity? Weren't they released on like the same day?
Yeah.
Or something? What's going on there?
So I'm going to speak to that, but first, there's something Halo 1 I always thought was awful. Is that those guys like jumped in and they're like, oh, I'm going to die, and then Master Chief saves them, and then, spoiler alert, you crash into the planet and all of those people die in your thing. So that's...
Look.
So he like reassures them and then they all die. So that's just
sorry, Master
tragedy.
Chief.
Tragedy at work. Anyway, so...
Unity and Rogue.
These games are so different that...
How are they different?
Well, they're different in a variety of ways. One of them is that one is just next generation, and one is completely bound to the past generation. So it wasn't like they released on both. One game is on one game is on the other. And so that was just pretty crazy that they split it up like that. But you can really tell that one of them was developed specifically for Halo, or sorry, not Halo, for Xbox One and PS4 and PC.
But that would be Unity, right?
Right, it's Unity, and that's because it's like does not use any of the fun or cool things from Assassin's Creed 4. And so clearly, these things were like developed separately.
So is it a safe assumption that Unity was like developed from scratch?
At least from it,
platform?
I assume so. That they have a new engine. Cool. I haven't looked up what engine it is. Because that's one of the positive things everybody said as the reviewers are like, it's beautiful and it's fun to run around.
And broken
and all that stuff. But it is
Chief,
beautiful.
So growing pains from a new engine.
Yeah.
It will be patched out in various DLCs and hotfixes.
That's exactly right. So it's unfortunate that they did that. But, there's an interesting article on Polygon about... them having a review embargo on Unity.
Yeah, but was there a review embargo on the other one, on Rogue?
That I don't know.
I don't either. I should look into that.
Yeah.
So there was a review embargo on Unity affecting, obviously, major review outlets as well as Let's Players, I'd assume. What I gathered from my browsing of the Assassin's Creed Unity Let's Plays on YouTube, for example, was you would see some people that were like, oh, I know I'm releasing this early. I can release all the gameplay footage I want. I just can't release a review.
Yeah.
Like I saw a few Let's Plays where that was mentioned, which seems really perplexing to me because playing through the game, a review seems like it would be obvious.
Right.
I don't know.
But it's one of those things where it's like whenever some of these movies, they don't let you review them until they're in the theaters because they know they're going to be bad.
They know there's problems.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge signal, right? Like when every major game coverage outlet is like, oh, hey, we give you an Assassin's Creed Unity review, but we can't because there's an embargo or we haven't got the code yet or whatever. It's obvious. Like it's anybody that's in the know that reads these things or even watches the Let's Plays will know that we may have a stinker on our hands. Like I don't think any developer says we're going to do an embargo because our game is so awesome. We don't want anyone to know about it after it's released. That never happens.
We're going to
said no executive ever. Right.
That's right.
And so I think. What do you think? Like if you're a developer and you just got. Maybe it's not a full-blown turd, but you got something less than ideal on your hands.
Right.
Embargo or don't embargo?
Embargo.
Really?
I mean, from a pure business perspective, people are going to say in their minds, like, oh, maybe it's bad, right? But if, like, you have a review sitting out there day of, and it says 6 or 6.5, you're really going to lose sales. I feel like if you looked at the data, you'd probably lose more sales if you did an embargo. That's what I would bet. Now,
I'm willing to bet you're correct. But here's the other thing. I feel like there's this weird consumer overlap, right? So you've got people that probably buy the game and don't really read reviews at all. Right. And these are people, maybe this is your grandma buying it for you for Christmas or whatever, because she knows you want that new Assassin's Creed game. And, it's so violent, but little Johnny wants it, someone will buy it.
That's right.
So those people aren't affected in the least iota by reviews, embargo or not, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got the people that read these reviews, and they read reviews regularly, or maybe just check out a game review for a game they're interested in, and they're like, where's the review at?
Right.
Oh, it's not out. And you're telling me that 5 seconds on Google won't alert them to the fact that it's not out because it's been embargoed?
I don't think it would,
I think the signal is still there. It's like, oh, hey, I'm going to look for a game review. Oh, I didn't find one on IGN or Polygon or whatever, so I immediately just assume there's going to be no review when I buy the game. Like, who doesn't dig deeper?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's anomalous,
maybe most
right?
people?
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I just died again. I'm awful.
We're getting passionate.
So passionate.
I just think the overlap between gamer who regularly reads reviews, but doesn't take the time to figure out there's an embargo. I just think that percentage of people is very small. I think it's much more binary. You either read reviews or you don't.
Yeah.
And so it just seems like you're saving some weird fraction of the community.
They must be looking for
and you have to wonder, what percentage of people that read these reviews and see there's an embargo aren't going to buy it at all anyway?
Yeah.
Or they're going to wait until they see a review.
Right.
Like, that's the other thing. So in my mind, I just kind of think, what percentage of your purchasing audience that reads reviews wouldn't wait if they didn't see a review? I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. And, people like me, I love Assassin's Creed. And so even though this game is quote-unquote bad, I will probably buy it and play it at some point.
On a Steam sale.
Yeah. And, a lot of, like, Assassin's Creed 4, I think it was, or maybe it was 3. I bought it at, like, the day of. Like, I really like the series. There's, like, 3 series that I'll buy day of if I have if I have the actual system to actually play it. For instance, if I had an Xbox One, I would have bought Master Chief Collection day one. It's just I buy Halos.
Reviews be damned.
Yeah, I buy Halos, Mass Effects, and maybe Assassin's Creed's day of, just because I really enjoy them.
And you support the franchise, etc.
Right,
et cetera.
and
yeah, sure.
Especially like Halo or another like multiplayer game that I'm really into. Like our producer Jesse, he's got Master Chief Collection. I wish that last night we were up till 2 a.m. playing Halo 2 Anniversary multiplayer.
You're not 17 anymore.
That's right. I have jobs to do.
Jobs.
But at some point I'll get to do that. But that's the key, and I think that's one of the big things that Halo brings to the table, and always has for me, especially since I've moved around and sort of had friends disperse, is that we always gather around Halo. And I think, that goes to we'll bring that to, I think, the community around Rooster Teeth later. You find these communities of people, whether they're people you used to know or communities you make for yourself. And
they'll buy a game if it sucks or not, right?
Yeah, because you want to, like, continue that community
those warm
together.
Fuzzies.
Yeah, totally.
Sure. Well, I imagine, as with all modern releases, Assassin's Creed Unity is going to sort out its problems. They're going to patch out the engine difficulties.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a fine entrant into the series. Whatever.
I will say one thing that's kind of cool is that about Let's Plays and Let's Players is that it doesn't matter that there's a bunch of glitches for Let's Players, right? And in fact, you could argue that it might even be better for Let's Players that there's a billion glitches in the game.
So should developers just start leaving some glitches in there?
Yeah, just turn it onto Let's Player mode, the game. Because, now there's like everybody says, oh, there's glitches. So what do you normally, we did it. Everyone's done it. You go straight to YouTube and search Assassin's Creed Unity glitches, right? And
you look at them and laugh.
So many ad rolls.
But I don't know if there's a glitch that would make me say, oh, I'm buying that game.
That's true.
That's an epic glitch.
Maybe not good for Ubisoft, but great for a few Let's Players.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Speaking of glitches, it just occurred to me. Did you know people like speedrun Dark Souls 2?
Oh, really?
No. Which seems like the most horrifying thing on the face of the planet is to try and speedrun that game.
Have
you ever played Dark Souls?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I can't even say I played Dark Souls 1. Like, I turned on the console, I held the controller, I hit some buttons, but it played me. It played me hard because Dark Souls is infuriatingly challenging. Some people love that, and that's great.
Yeah.
I did not.
Yeah.
Dark Souls 2, same difference, right? More of the same in a lot of ways. And they are people speedrunning it, and the most recent world record was set for the current patch, glitchless, I can't even say it, glitchless 80% run on Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
First of all, do you know what that is?
I have no idea.
So that classification means they basically ran it on the most current version of the game without using any glitches.
Okay.
They completed it without using any glitches. And they completed it in 59 minutes.
Wow.
I don't think I made it past the first enemy in 59 minutes. Like, it's just death. And so in my mind, that's pretty incredible and worth celebrating. Yeah, and we'll have a link in the show notes to the article that talks about this and names the person that made the run and generally talks about other things in the Dark Souls universe. But yeah, just something worth celebrating that in a lot of speedrunning, it's about exploiting glitches to make the game even faster.
Right.
So being able to do Dark Souls with no glitches shows a huge testament to skill.
Yeah, that's
so
really awesome.
That's pretty cool. We're random aside.
No, that's a great aside.
Since we were speaking of glitches,
Totally.
in the Assassin's Creed Unity universe, are there any good Halo glitches? Do you know any?
Not really that I know of. I think there's plenty. There are probably more in the PC version. Let's be honest.
I think I've mentioned before on this podcast about. I always forget, and they run together when I'm just talking to people, rambling and talking in a microphone. But there were, in my dark tunneling days of Halo, tons of people who bugged the game.
Yeah.
And had pistols that shot rockets and 20-foot high jumps, warthogs that flew in the air, all kinds of crazy stuff. That happens when you're tunneling into some weird dark Xbox Live, I guess. So not necessarily glitches, but definitely people doing weird things to the game.
Yeah.
Did you ever find the skulls in Halo?
Yeah. See, that's the fun thing about Halo, or one of the fun things. It's not really glitches, but there's like, there's always like fun Easter eggs that you can find. Then they change the game for you.
Did
that
you
was
find
always
them?
Cool. I found a few. I never was like a skull hunter. I know people that are, and they are fun, because you just kind of like turn on different modes in the game and change stuff, and whenever you kill a grunt, they explode into confetti and yell "yay!" Stuff like that. Or you turn up the difficulty to like mythic level, which is harder than legendary, and you can do a lot of
harder than legendary.
Harder than legendary.
Oh my gosh.
But I never really spent too much time doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Looking back, I had all that free time as a kid. I should have done it.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
So
let me share one thing that I've just been noticing about Halo that I really respect about it.
Anecdote?
And then anecdote. Then we can move on. One of the anecdotes that I have about this, if you've been watching this playthrough and noticed it, or watched any playthrough, is that Bungie does an amazing job in this game of introducing new mechanisms just naturally, right? So as this level's unfolded so far, you've been introduced to new bad guys, you've been introduced to new structures, you've been introduced to new weapons, but they don't all come at the same time. You get new challenges, but it's not
gating progress, right? So
right.
Classic game mechanic.
Which is a classic game mechanic, but it's not in a way that's like, oh, look, here is a sniper rifle. Or, oh, God, the bad guy with the gun that shoots needles is coming. And I feel like some games are so heavy-handed about it.
Yeah.
But this is just like, oh, I'm showing up in a new area, and there's somebody with a gun I've never seen. Let me, look at it and understand it, and then figure out that there's a strategy to fight against it.
And I pick it up organically on the battlefield or whatever, which totally makes sense in this game's universe, right?
Yeah.
I think games generally struggle with that sort of air quote realism. Realism this is like the real world is one thing, but just realism in your universe, right?
Yeah.
Like you've been playing a lot of BioShock Infinite lately, and I think it is for as great a game as it is, or just the BioShock series in general, as good as it is, does a horrible job of understanding realism in its own universe.
That's true.
Like, why, when I open a barrel, are there 2 bullets in a pair?
That's right.
That makes no sense.
Yesterday, I opened a toolbox, and there was a pineapple in it.
Yeah.
And a hammer.
And it's just, for some people, me, I guess, primarily, since that's the perspective I'm coming from, this really breaks immersion because it's like, oh, here's a toolbox with a pineapple in it, and what that tells me is that you as a developer just needed a way to give me health.
Right.
And rather than kind of sorting out what would make sense, you just threw a pineapple in a toolbox, and I opened it and ate a pineapple.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's... and of course, like BioShock's not the only game to be guilty of this. We think of I'm sure we could enumerate millions if we sat down and thought about it. But it's pretty frustrating.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I guess that's just a little side rant about realism doesn't mean real, but it does mean, in my mind, coherent in your game's universe.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know. Let's talk about something else.
All right.
What do you want to talk about?
Rooster Teeth.
I don't want to talk about Rooster Teeth, but I appreciate that we must.
Right.
So give us the details on Rooster Teeth. Well, okay, first of all, for those not in the know, what is a Rooster Teeth?
A Rooster Teeth is a media company.
Right.
They're famous for things like Red vs. Blue and Achievement Hunter.
What's a Red vs. Blue?
Red vs. Blue is, I guess I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the first, legitimately popular, well-done, massive machinima that ever...
I would argue that it's not even an argument. I agree with you. If it wasn't the first machinima, which I don't have the knowledge in that field to say one way or the other, it did do significantly great things for machinima as an art form.
Yeah,
right,
for sure.
And it did significant things for Rooster Teeth because Halo itself gave them a medium with which to tell a story.
Right. And I've listened to Bernie, who is one of their co-founders, and their chief creative director, I think, right now is his title. The way they started out was they were gonna do real live action stuff, and then they were just like, can we use some other mechanism to tell a story? And so they started using Halo, and they just, it's like starting in their bedroom, and all this kind of stuff, right? And they had never heard of machinima. He just was like, oh, what if we use a game to tell a story? And so almost by accident became the vanguard of great machinima, and they've become a brand of their own and all these cool things.
Yeah, and I'm sure at this point they're large and have a rabid and all-encompassing fan base and lots of shows and right, and really, so this was what, 15 years ago? How long ago was it that they were doing machinima Red vs. Blue, which was their first entrant?
So they just wrapped season 12.
Yeah, so one season a year.
Yeah,
more or less. So they've been around for 12, 13 years doing this thing, and in doing so, they sort of become sort of a torchlight in the industry, right? They are a beacon of how to do digital media, how to stay independent, how to be successful, and how to kind of do the thing you want to do, grow a fan base, and have not only a stable income but be largely successful.
Yeah,
to grow what would someone argue is a large business around.
Oh gosh, yes.
Around this
huge.
media.
They not only did they grow a massive production studio, they've grown a massive online audience of podcasters and Let's Play watchers and fans that show up for RTX, their conference, in droves almost as big or as big, depending on who you ask, as an event like PAX, and depending on how you count the people coming in the room. And so,
you just skip over some? You count them.
Right. So I mean, it's similar to some of these conferences count via turnstiles, just the amount of people that come in the door.
Yeah.
Versus how many people have bought a ticket.
Sure.
So that's kind of
and so
anyway,
arguably, even compared to the PAX or not, they have a very large, they've turned this into an institution.
Absolutely.
And so the news, well, for one, I think that Rooster Teeth was the exception that proved the rule, right? That you can, in this industry, in digital media, you can stay independent and you can be wildly successful.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen every day. It doesn't happen often.
Right.
Some argue it may not never happen at all, except for the case of Rooster Teeth.
Yeah.
But they proved that it could be done.
Yeah.
And so, it was kind of shocking to see out of the blue this week that they sold to Fullscreen.
Yeah, which is a multi-channel network.
Yeah, a multi-channel network. If you're not familiar with a multi-channel network, I don't know why you're watching this podcast because we're all about Let's Plays here. But, you know, a multi-channel network is basically a big umbrella company that manages a lot of small or large size YouTube channels. And you know, think of it like NBC or CBS in television, right? That's the analog, sort of.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
you know, or think of it
no.
like,
oh no,
oh, you're gonna die. Think of in the music industry. In the music industry, it's like RCA or Columbia, right? It's like they're like a music label,
right?
And so Rooster Teeth selling is a lot like your favorite indie band signing a record deal, and
it's like Radiohead signing a record deal.
Yeah,
that's how it feels to me.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal in this industry.
Yeah,
and it. Like, I wish them all the best, and, you know, they're going to get a huge influx of capital, and they're going to do some great stuff with it. Yeah, they're going to hire a bunch of people. You know, they're going to, like, from a business perspective, there's a lot of good reasons for doing what they're doing, especially if Full Screen wants, like, limited or no creative control, right?
Yeah.
But in the same vein, it's just kind of heartbreaking that you see this example of, like, building something from nothing, and, you know, you say, hey, I'm going to build a media channel. I'm going to do this independent thing. I'm going to be successful because Rooster Teeth has done it. And then it's like the end game is still got to sell.
Yeah.
Got to sell. And inherently, I dislike that. Once again, happy for Rooster Teeth, but dislike it because, you know, I want to see indie like flourish, right? And I want to see creative control flourish, and I want to see people grow up around independent movements and support them because they like the content and they like the people.
Yeah.
And not necessarily see that process perhaps maybe hamstrung by an overseeing entity. You know, I'm not saying that's what Full Screen's going to do by any means, but you know, now it's in the realm of possibility.
Yeah, where it wasn't before. And you know, I think the bottom line comes down to, you know, and I know a lot of the folks that run Rooster Teeth, and I know them. I've met them several times, had conversations, and you know, these guys really care about their community. They really care about their company. And they really want to try to do cool things. And I guess, I think that the mentality that I see coming out of this and what they've said in all of their blogs, you know, you can go read Bernie's blog, Matt Hullum's blog, you can read Barbara's blog, which actually, you know, if you're going to read one of those, I'd read all of them if you're interested in this sort of stuff. But if you're going to pick one, Barbara's is really good because she sticks around in the comments and answers a lot of questions and makes a lot of like things clearer that weren't specifically clarified by Matt or Bernie, and so that's been really helpful to understand what this is about. Matt and Bernie seem to be busy with, I don't know, making
running companies and stuff,
making Laser Team.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not gonna hate on Rooster Teeth for the choice that they made, right? Like, I'm sure that it made excellent business sense.
Yeah,
you know, and I don't think there's any real need to get up in arms or vitriolic about it when we don't even know what's going to happen yet, right? Like, we have to see what's going to happen. But so it doesn't. It's, for me, it's not like a cause for pitchforks, but it almost feels like it kind of feels like a death, right? Like something is lost that can't come back.
Yeah.
And
it's
for
like
better or worse,
graduating from college. Or
you know, maybe that was a good thing. Maybe that death is necessary. But for better or worse, it's gone.
Yeah.
There's just loss.
Yeah.
And so that's really, I don't know. It's just kind of an emptiness. It's hard to explain, but
yeah, I wonder if another example that will just tie back to Halo is after Halo, really not after Halo 1, but basically about the time Halo 1 came out, Bungie sold themselves to Microsoft.
Yeah,
and they very much maintained their independence throughout, and were very like adamant about it. You know, like Microsoft threw them into cubicles, they ripped everything out and made it an open workspace, like unlike any other space in the entirety of Microsoft. And then, you know, years passed and they did something that no one ever would have anticipated. They gave away Halo for
freedom,
for their independence. And that's exactly what they did. And because they made a bet on Destiny, which is pretty crazy. Like, basically, now that you have Destiny out, you can see that basically they said, we'll trade Halo for independent Destiny, which is a pretty big bet, right?
Yeah.
And so you never know what the future will hold for Rooster Teeth.
And if you want more of our thoughts on this acquisition, Greg Rosen, who does some writing for us here at GameWisp, has written an excellent blog about the sale of Rooster Teeth and kind of what it means and his thoughts and opinions and the opinion of kind of GameWisp and how we feel about it. And I'll say again, it's not a cause for alarm or anger. It's just kind of like, well, that's over now.
Yeah.
And regardless of what emerges, that's never coming back.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they could technically purchase themselves back, but for the foreseeable future, that's never coming back.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Let's keep an eye on them and see what happens. Wish them all the best, and I still think they're awesome. So
for sure. And I will say one last note on that, and then we'll get to some GameWisp news.
GameWisp news.
If I can get to opening this bridge, then that might be a good place to stop. But there's a dude right around this corner. By that I mean a elite.
Dude, lamest grenade throw ever.
Yep.
4 feet away, you missed him by a mile. And he killed you. You deserved it.
I'm going to be playing this part. The first time I ever played through this game, and several times, you come in here with like 1 bar of health. There's no health laying around. It's bad. Anyway, the point I will make is that as it regards to like Let's Plays and the like, is that a lot of the comments that I've seen on I just died so easily there. On Reddit are people curious about what's going to happen with the sponsorship program. And some people have actually dropped their sponsorship.
Briefly, sponsorship program, you pay some amount. Is it like $20 a year or something?
Yeah, $20 a year.
And you get, like early access to their stuff they put out?
Yeah, early access to Red vs. Blue. You get free stuff on the site. Like
little perks, right?
Perks. But you get special merchandise in the store, all that kind of stuff.
The implication was always, you're sponsoring us because you like what we do and want to support us.
Yeah.
Right, and it's not like it wasn't so much as you're paying for content, which may have been the case.
Yeah.
But the sort of feeling attached to it was you're helping us out, so we can stick around here and keep doing this thing you guys like.
Exactly.
So what about it?
Well, it's just interesting because people are going, well, you don't need money now, and so
a business always needs money.
Right. That's exactly right. And so it's interesting because I think people have that mentality of I'm supporting this thing. This independent thing, and now that it's not, and they did it because they needed more money for production, which is fine. Like, it's awesome. I'm excited about what they're going to make, like we've talked about. But it is an interesting thing that people have actually started unsubscribing from their sponsorship. People are not renewing it because of this purchase. And so I think that I think they're going to have to reposition what sponsorship is.
Maybe. I'm on both sides of the fence about that. Like, the day-to-day operations are still the same. Sure, they got a large influx of capital. And if you believe that your money was to keep them afloat and they don't need to float anymore because they're doing just fine, fine. Pull your sponsorship, right? I don't know. Like, that's tough.
It is tough.
It's gonna be tough for them to reposition that. Do you think they'll just cut it all together? Will they call it something else?
I think they'll probably call it something else. If I were betting, like I think
revenue.
Well, revenue is revenue, but it's also, maybe it's not a sponsorship anymore, but it's a way for them to, if you pay a little extra, you still get early access. You're not sponsoring really; you're just paying for early access.
Yeah.
And so that's a different positioning. Anyway, I just think that's a really interesting result of this that I didn't really expect when I first heard about it.
We'll keep an eye on that. See how it's playing out.
So speaking of sponsorship and subscription,
my gosh,
we should bring up some things we're working on at GameWisp.
Some things we're working on. So the past couple podcasts, we've kind of talked about how we're working on videos and series.
Yeah.
And we're still working on videos and series. What that is the ability for you to upload video content to GameWisp, and we will organize that content into episodes for you and series, so you can have this long form episodic presentation. It's really nice for your views on the front end, but you can also have that content be early access, so people that sponsor you for some small fee can watch that content early.
That's right.
And and then once the early access period is over, and that period can be a length you specify,
right?
We automatically push that content to YouTube. And so the idea is that, you can go to GameWisp and you can have this sort of premium experience for fans that want to support you, and they get access to, for now, early access and premium content, in the future, other things.
Right.
And then that content can still go to YouTube without you having to do any extra work, such that you can still have a platform to grow an audience.
Right.
And so that's kind of like the Cliffs Notes version of what we're building. from the technical perspective, it's very hard.
It is hard.
It is very hard.
So hard.
It's taken us longer than we hoped, as is, I mean, it's par for the course in development. I think any development gig I've ever done always takes longer than you hope. And, where we're at. So if you keep track of Twitter, Mike tweeted today that our video encoding pipeline is done. What does that mean? It means you can upload a video, we can encode it into multiple resolutions and formats, and then we can deliver that video to our front end so people can watch it, and that can be gated by, early access or premium. So that's done. So from a technical aspect, that's done. The front end, everything's working, and we're just kind of like going through doing some bug work on that, which is pretty nice. So what else do? We can take all your content from YouTube if you sign up and link your YouTube account, which is something we've always been able to do, but we've cleaned that process up.
And we're importing playlists into series now.
And
previously, even if you had a playlist on YouTube, you had to still come in and organize all your stuff.
And that was a real hassle if you had like a 225 video playlist on YouTube. Right. So now that's automatically turned into a series, so it's automatically there. So the work you would have to do if you had automatically imported a YouTube playlist as a series is you come back and maybe you name the series, or we'll just use the name from the first video on the list, and maybe you specify some like special cover art for the series, that kind of thing. So like little minor stuff. And what we're working on now is the part that goes from the GameWisp video that you've uploaded and the early access period's over, and so now it's going to get shipped over to YouTube. So we're working on that part, that shipping over to YouTube,
right? Because
we really want that to be as like just hassle-free as possible. You ship it over, it goes to the right spot, it goes in the right playlist, it's just done. Right. Maybe all you have to do is go back to YouTube and like turn on monetization or something.
Yeah.
And you don't have to think about it. And so that's what we're working on now. We want it to be very, very good. And so we're hoping, our hope is by the end of November that we're going to be done with internal testing and development and moving on to external testing and development, which is where we'll be reaching out to a handful of Let's Players, regardless of size, we don't care, to use our tools and give us feedback. And so if you're interested in that, like I said, shooting for the end of November, but you know how this stuff goes.
Right.
But if you're interested in that, you can email us info@gamewisp.com. That's info@gamewisp.com.
Right, let us know.
And you can let us know you're interested. Give us a link to your YouTube channel. And, we'll be in touch if we want you to kind of try our stuff out. Now, what we're looking for, really, it's not about size. It's more about, do you upload videos regularly? How do you upload videos? If we look at your YouTube channel, do we think you're going to use it in a way that is interesting use case for us to test?
Right.
And so if you're uploading one video a month, like, we're probably not going to email you back. But if you're doing like daily submissions, once or twice daily or a few a week or something, that's kind of what we're looking for. That's a little activity. So, if you're organizing your stuff in a playlist, if you have custom thumbnails, like, these are all things that we want to test and make sure work. And so if you have a channel that does that kind of thing, let us know. Send us an email, and we'll be in touch to some portion of you. And over time, we hope to kind of increase that level of people we're working with. But really, what we're looking for now is feedback. And I'm excited about this. This is something that
me too. I'm ready
I've
to get
wanted
it out
to do,
in a while.
Yeah, for a long time. And we've been working on this now for, like 6 weeks, and we just can't. It will not die. We just can't put it to bed. And
getting close.
And so we're getting close, and we're hoping that once it is put to bed, you'll come sleep with it. I lost that analogy. I don't know. But
put it to bed, and we will
tuck it in.
You'll tuck it in.
Sing it a lullaby.
That's right.
And then it'll ship your videos to YouTube.
That's right on, dude.
Yeah. So that's where we are. That's what's up with GameWisp. The other thing we're considering, we have this ritual at GameWisp where every morning we get in at like 8:30 Central Standard Time or something.
8 even earlier. Who knows?
8 or whatever. We come in, we sit down, we drink a cup of coffee, and we generally like touch base on the day. Like, here's what we're going to do, and that's like 15 to 20 minutes, sometimes 30 if we're feeling really lazy. But we've taken to the habit of playing a game while we do this. I think Michael's playing through BioShock Infinite right now.
Right.
And so while he's playing through BioShock Infinite, we just kind of shoot the breeze. So long story short, we're thinking about making a Twitch stream. Twitch for now.
Did I just kill him?
Maybe GameWisp in the near future. We're thinking about making a Twitch stream that's just the GameWisp morning coffee stream.
That's right.
Where for 30 minutes we play a game. We talk about what we're going to do that day. It's mainly just so we just say, hey, here's what we're doing today. And maybe it'll be like the boringest thing ever. Maybe it'll be interesting. But we're going to feature kind of different people in GameWisp, marketing, development, sales, ops, just see what they're doing. So I don't know.
Come check it out. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. What's our Twitch TV channel?
It's just /GameWisp. Twitch.tv/GameWisp. I think we're gonna kick it off at 9 a.m. 9 to 9:30, maybe 8:30 to 9. We'll find a rhythm.
We'll make it regular.
Us.
Yeah, we'll make it regular. And come chat with us. Have any questions about what we're doing? Maybe we'll answer them. Maybe we'll just play BioShock. I don't know, but
it's hard to say.
And drink our coffee. But that's where we'll be. So, with all of that wonderful discussion and information, does this wrap up GameWisp Weekly Podcast?
I think it does, except for one final thing that
What's
I'm going to
that?
do in Halo.
What are you going to do? Are you going to go off a sweet jump?
Yes.
Oh, man. We're going to close on the jump.
And
it was great doing this podcast this week.
That's right.
We'll be back next week with the topic yet to be announced.
An awesome topic, though.
It'll be awesome, and we'll see you guys then.
Oh, that's a terrible jump.
That was the most anticlimactic. Yeah, there you go. Now we're dead. All right. See you later.
See you next week.